The New York Jets season is dead and done, but what are some things that we can do this year to help us evaluate the team for next year? What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Talking Jets with Tigo. My name is Tigo, and today we're going to be talking about 5 moves that I would make if I was the head coach or the general manager of the New York Jets that would help us evaluate next year's team this year. We're going to start on the offensive side of the ball and then move over to the defense. And I think number one, the easiest move, something that I think a lot of people have been already calling for, but now with the season at 4-8 and this unrealistic expectation, we're going to go undefeated for the rest of the 5 games and sneak into the playoffs 9-8. Come on, let's be real. I think the easiest one is bench Dalvin Cook and play Israel Abanikanda more. We know that Dalvin Cook isn't going to be on this team next year. There's no reason to bring him back. And even though Dalvin Cook has shown, signs of life in being able to at least play a little bit, doesn't really matter. Next year is the year. Israel Abanikanda is going to be on the team next year, and he needs to see the NFL field. He needs to see NFL reps. I get it. The offensive line is bad and all of that stuff, but it's only going to make him a stronger runner if he can create some type of yardage behind a really, really bad offensive line. And the reality is, too, I would kind of make him RB1 this year. We should take as many reps away from Breece Hall without it being way too obvious that we're trying to lose games, because I think we should be trying to lose games. Because, Breece played a ton in college and already has a ton of wear and tear on his body. We need Breece Hall healthy 100% next year. That's the year that we need him. And so if making him RB2 this year to make Israel Abanikanda RB1 just to give Izzy as many reps as possible is kind of a no-brainer move in my opinion. Move number 2 on the offense is I would put Max Mitchell in at right guard. I know I have been the biggest Max Mitchell supporter, and this year he hasn't really done much to earn my support or anybody's support at all. And I think a big part of that is probably mine and the New York Jets staff's belief that he can probably start earlier than he probably should have. He was a day 2, day 3 pick for a reason, and the reality is that Max is ceiling at tackle is probably a backup swing tackle, which is more than good enough with what you're probably going to end up getting out of a guy that was taken in the 4th round. Which is, again, really, really good for him. That being said, we do need to start evaluating some of these younger players in different positions to see if we can figure out some answers for the offensive line in-house before having to go outside. And the best way to evaluate if a guy is ready to play at the NFL level is to play him at the NFL level. Carter Warren has rightfully so won the right tackle job away from Max Mitchell. Carter Warren had a 2nd round grade on him before getting injured and being taken in the 4th round. And again, while dealing and recovering from that injury, didn't play a ton this year or even in the college season last year. Well, now that he's healthy, we're starting to see that ramp up. We should give him the last 5 games at right tackle. We should give Max Mitchell the last 5 games at right guard. And let's see if we can find an answer for our offensive line woes in-house, or if we do truly need to go elsewhere to find offensive line talent. The offensive line is the biggest issue that we have right now, and there's going to be a ton of investment in the offensive line. Let's start by seeing if we have any answers in-house this year before we make any rash decisions in the offseason and in the draft. Now, moving over to the defensive side of the ball, there are 3 things that I would do. Number 1 is an either or. I would either re-sign Quinton Jefferson, who has been playing exceptionally well for this New York Jets team, or I would switch him and Michael Clemens around. I think re-signing Quinton Jefferson now is the right move. Don't let him hit free agency. Tell him that all of the work that he has been putting in on the defensive line has been appreciated and has been valuable. He has 6 sacks this year, a ton of them being half sacks, which actually means he has been a part of 8 sacks this year, which is just insane. If the plan is not to bring Quinton Jefferson back, we need to see what Michael Clemens looks like in his new interior defensive lineman body. And that's the reality of it. Look, Yes, the defense might take a step back if we put Michael Clemens in that role, but we know that the offense isn't going to score points anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Let's evaluate Michael Clemens, see if he's actually an option on the interior of the defensive line, and if not, well, we know Quentin Jefferson is, and we can really throw a lot of assets in bringing him back for next year. Number 2 is I would switch Bryce Huff and Jonathan Franklin Myers' roles in the defense. There's going to be a ton of talk this offseason about whether or not to re-sign Bryce Huff, and we know that Jonathan Franklin Myers is going to come back to the team next year, rightfully so. He has low-key been one of our best defensive linemen all year, and that's what he does. He doesn't show up on the stat sheet, but he continues to create pressure. He's in and around creating sacks, and he just does the dirty work when needed to, being part of stunts and creating holes for his teammates and all of the things that he wants to do. He's not going anywhere, but Bryce Huff is in a contract year. And while I believe that you should give Bryce Huff the Hassan Reddick contract, and if he doesn't want it, let him walk, there has to be a better evaluation of what Bryce Huff can do on first and second down. We know how good he is in a pass rushing situation, but you only get to pass rush if you have a lead and on third downs. That is not enough of a market share of the defensive snaps to justify an 18, 19, even $20 million contract. We need to see if he can play on rundowns, and if he can, now we can start talking about one of these big contracts. I don't know. We got to see it. I want to see it. Give Bryce Huff JFM's role to see if he can play on the running downs, which I don't think he really can. And the last and the easiest one is just switch Ashton Davis and Jordan Whitehead. Ashton Davis had won the third safety job outright. We let go of Adrian Amos, and he is now signing with the Houston Texans for a reason. Ashton Davis came in and absolutely dominated. He has 2 interceptions on the year, a forced fumble on the year, 2 fumble recoveries on the year, 4 passes deflected on the year, and he's doing all of that with I think a little over 100 defensive snaps. Jordan Whitehead probably isn't going to be on this team next year, and that's fine. Let's see Ashton Davis in a true starting safety as the strong safety, and let's see what we got out of the kid. I was a part of the group of the let's cut Ashton Davis, and boy, am I glad that we didn't do that. If Ashton Davis shows this year that he can take on a bigger role, it helps us fix, and not just fix, but maintain the defensive pressure that we've had for the last 2 years and keep it going with an in-house talent. Let me know what you guys think about all of the moves that I would make for this team in the comment section below. And last but not least, go Jets.